Hi there, I'm Skaji. I'm a practicing witch and a professional tarot nerd, and I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm going to talk about potions. A little wordplay, a little history, and a little magic. But before I do all of that, I need to say something important, so listen up. Magic in all its awesomeness should never be used as a replacement for actual medical care. Let me say that again. Magic should never be used as a replacement for actual medical care. A magical practice can be used to help support our health and to supplement professional medical care, but should never be used in place of it. With that done, and you're likely to hear it again because it's that important, let's move on to potions. Potion has wound its way down to us in English through French potion and the Latin putare, meaning to drink. And as the word wandered about from language to language, the meaning kind of wandered as well. Around 1300, we get the idea of a medicinal drink. By the 1600s, it had inherited the sense of a magical drink. And potion is related to other liquidy words too, such as potable and poison. And through its origins in Proto-Indo-European, it's even related to beer. If you're a word nerd like me, you'll find a link in the description to a fun etymology site. So here we are. A potion is something one drinks, right?
Gaji, why did we waste time getting to this? We already knew this.
Sure you did, but that's not all there is to it. The important part for us today is not the drinky part. It's the magical part. And while we're talking about words, let's talk about more words. There are quite a few words which can be used as synonyms for potion. Tincture, tisane, infusion, tea, elixir, filter, concoction, decoction, brew. But that's not important right now. We'll get back to that here in a minute. Humans have been drinking things for a long time, and I suppose that goes without saying. But I'd also guess that we naked apes have been adding stuff to our drinks for a long time too. Our ancestors figured out that many things in their environment had beneficial effects beyond their mere nutritional value. Archaeological evidence shows us that our ancestors were making medicines, or at least using plants with medicinal properties, as early as 11,000 years ago during the Paleolithic period, and maybe even earlier.
What does this have to do with potions?
I'm getting there, Gary, I promise. I remember a scene from what's probably a little-known movie these days called Caveman, starring Ringo, Starr, where the eponymous cavemen were foraging for food and discovered a fictionalized version of an entheogenic plant whose leaves might be familiar to some of you today. Several dudes stood around while they forced Ringo's character to try the fruits, which he really enjoyed. And then he passed out, and no one else tried the fruits. I kind of imagine our ancestors discovering medicinal plants and entheogens in a similar way. Probably didn't quite happen that way, but it's a funny mental image. It can be argued that our earliest evidence of spiritual thinking in our ancestors is demonstrated by evidence of ritualized burial practices and the inclusion of grave goods. This evidence implies that modern humans have had ideas about what happened to Uncle Grog after he died for a very long time. Okay, so we got folks nibbling on plants which they found to have effects which made them feel better when they were sick, or just made them feel better, or maybe even made them see into the spirit world. But we still haven't gotten to potions. We really can't get to potions until we can cook stuff in pots. Cooking vessels were an innovation of our hunter-gatherer ancestors, and the earliest known evidence dates back to something like 15,000 years ago in Asia. Who doesn't like a good soup? And what else can we do with pots? Beer, that's what. Evidence has been found in the Middle East that folk were making beer as long as 13,000 years ago. Some scholarly types even think that it was a love of beer that influenced the domestication of grains. Now, I don't know what I think of that, but why not? I can definitely imagine a bunch of folks sitting around a campfire with a nice buzz, and one of them says, "Hey, Grog, you know what would be cool? If we could make even more beer. And what about other fermented beverages? Wine, it seems, isn't quite as old as beer. It seems it's been around for only about 8,000 years. The early fermented drinks were likely nothing like what we have today. On top of that, it seems that there were naturally local variations of recipes. Some other herbs added to the fermentation process may have had psychoactive effects, leading some archaeologists to theorize that these drinks were used as a part of a religious ritual practice.
What about potions?
Almost there. Don't make me turn the video around. You remember a while back when I mentioned a bunch of synonyms for potion? I know, it was quite a while back. No? Oh, look, there they are. Turns out, these were just different ways of making things one drinks. Tisane and decoction are two different ways of making what we regularly call teas. A tisane is made by pouring hot water over herbs and steeping them for a bit. A decoction is made by boiling the herbs in water. The different prep methods are used when there are plant bits which require more heat or more time to let loose the parts we want, like roots. A tincture is made by soaking herbs in usually ethyl alcohol, that's the drinking kind, or some other potable liquid. One could also make an infused wine. In the Master Book of Herbalism, author Paul Beyerl has this to say. A potion is not much different than either an infusion or a decoction, excepting that its purpose is for magical use. The primary difference is that they are made in a ritual setting. There are a bunch of books out there which can provide recipes for magical drinks. The Complete Book of Incense Oils and Brews by Scott Cunningham is one, and the Master Book of Herbalism is another one. You can find a bunch more, I'm sure. Now, I said this earlier, but in case you've forgotten, magic in all its awesomeness should never be used as a replacement for actual medical care. And I'll add here, too, that you should be sure, really, really, really sure, that anything you make to consume is actually safe to consume. It is unwise to assume that it's safe just because you saw it in one book, or on one website, or in one TikTok, or in one video. Check and double check. The magical purposes for our potions can vary naturally. You could make astrological potions or deity potions, potions to improve your divinatory skills, and the list could go on. In many of the books that I have, the word potion is replaced with tea or brew, and that's fine. Now you know the secret. I've made potions to help me with Olympic spirit work, to aid me in divination, and even to help me manage my anxiety. I've even turned my morning coffee into a potion by charging it with energy. What you can do with potions is limited only by your imagination and some common sense. I'm going to leave you here with a recipe that I developed several years ago for a customer in a neat little shop where I work and read. The customer was feeling a bit lethargic and scattered, so I came up with something that I call summer shade. And it's intended to provide a sense of energized relaxation, not unlike the way sitting in the cool shade of a tree on a warm summer day can feel. I choose the herbs for flavor and support the intention of the feeling of energy grounded. I'll include the recipe in the description below. The Summer Shade Potion. You got 1 part of ground sassafras, that's a grounding element. 1/2 part of cinnamon ground, and that's an energizing element. 1 whole clove per cup, more energy. 1 part of German chamomile flowers, and that's calming, and it's bright. It's got a nice little scent to it. And 1/2 part of mugwort, cut, sifted, and that's calming. When I say 1 part or 1/2 part, what I mean is relative measurements. I suggest using a scale as opposed to a measuring spoon because in this case we're referring to weights and not volumes. And the metric system works better here, at least for smaller amounts of mixture. For example, if you use 7 grams, that's about 1/4 of an ounce, by the way. Use 7 grams of sassafras. You'll also use 7 grams of German chamomile and only 3.5 grams of cinnamon and mugwort. The cup size we're aiming for is about an 8-ounce cup, and you'll use about a teaspoon of the blend per cup. Yes, I'm mixing my measurement systems here. For any of my friends not in the US, I'm going to leave it up to you to use the measuring system that you're most familiar with. Now, you'll steep your brew for about 6 minutes. And during this time, that's when you charge your potion with your intent. Imagine the feelings and energy you wish your potion to provide and move that energy into the cup. And yes, I chose 6 minutes on purpose. The way I use numbers, well, 6 is a number of contentment, stability, and happiness. Now, my numerology stuff and magic comes mostly from my understanding of the tarot. And a lot of that is inspired by the Kabbalah. You should dig into that. It's really nifty. If for some bizarre reason you don't like the flavor of any of these or you're allergic, it's very important. Don't drink stuff you're allergic to. You can always use an herb that you do like the taste of or that you're not allergic to. A little research can help you find the herbs that provide the intentions that you're after. And remember, it's not just about mixing up stuff and pouring water over it. You have to charge it with your intention. You have to fill it with your magic also. So I think that about covers it for today. Thanks for sharing your time with me. Oh, thank you, Gary. Oh, and thank you. If you enjoyed yourself, please do that like, subscribe, and share thing. I'm Skaji. Safe journeys.